Hey guys, unfortunately I'm at home sick, but I did want to leave you with a video lesson, that way we're not behind. Yesterday we talked about reflections. I did need to update a part of your notes. Because you guys are honors geometry, I need to introduce a rule to you guys that I did not introduce yesterday. So if you will, just get out a sheet of paper and let's copy these down. Okay, reflections across horizontal lines. Remember, horizontal lines are in the form y equals a number. Okay, and vertical lines are in the form x equals a number. Okay, so we talked about the counting technique for these, but we also need to introduce a formal rule since you guys are honors geometry, not on level. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few examples, okay, to illustrate this idea, and then I'll give you guys some time to practice. Okay, so on this graph, I'm going to plot coordinate A, which will be 3, 3, and coordinate B, which will be 4, 1. Okay, we are going to reflect this across the line. So reflect across the line x equals 2. Okay, so that's going to be a vertical line here. And using that counting technique that we talked about yesterday, we can move A prime to this side and B prime to this side. Okay, and looking at those coordinates, we have 0, 1 and 1, 3. Okay, so we need to talk about a formal rule. How are x and y changing? Okay, well, let's take a look. If you notice, going from A to A prime, it looks like x changes, but y doesn't change. All right, and then looking at B to B prime, it looks like x changes, but y doesn't change. Okay, so we can indicate no change in y by placing that there. Okay, then I need to talk about how this x value is changing. Okay, not only is it flipping sides, which we're going to start with negating that, okay, we also need to account for the distance, and the distance in between here and here is actually being doubled. Okay, so it's a distance of +4. Essentially, you're just taking this number and you are doubling it right here. Okay, let's look at another example, but with a horizontal line. Okay, I'm going to use, let's do 0, 4 for my A coordinate. And let's do 1, 3, 3 for the B coordinate. Okay, we're going to reflect across the line y equals, let's do 1. Okay, so if we graph that line, that'll be a horizontal line here. Okay, and we're just going to use our counting technique to find B prime, which looks like that's at 1, -1, and A prime, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Looks like that's at 0, -2. Okay, so let's talk about the rule for this case. We want to figure out how are the original x and y coordinates changing. Okay, if we take a look going from A to A prime, it looks like the x coordinate's not changing. Okay, from B to B prime, it also looks like the x coordinate's not changing. So we can indicate no change in x with this. Okay, comma, and just like we did up here, we're going to negate since it's flipping sides. It's going to change signs, but we also need to account for this distance, okay? And the distance away from 0, we're going to double, which would be +2. Okay, so we're just taking that distance and doubling it. All right, so now that we have talked about these two rules, let's do a few practice examples to see how you do. Okay, first one, we're gonna find the rule for reflecting over x equals -4. Okay, example number 2, we're gonna find the rule for reflecting over, let's do y equals 8. And last example 3, we'll do the rule for reflecting over y equals 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a shot at answering the first one. Okay, remember, whenever we're reflecting over a vertical line, it looks like the y coordinate's not going to change and the x coordinate does. Okay, so x comma y, when you reflect over that vertical line, the y doesn't change. Okay, remember, we're going to change the signs to indicate the flip. Okay, and we're going to double this distance. So we're going to add double -4, which would be subtracting 8. Okay. For the next example, this time we're reflecting over a horizontal line. Okay, so that's going to be different. When we reflect over a horizontal line, the x coordinate's not being affected. Okay, the y coordinate is the one being affected. So we are going to negate y and add double that distance from 0. So plus 16. Okay, and last but not least, another horizontal line. When we reflect over that horizontal line, remember the x coordinate doesn't change. We're going to flip sides on the y-axis. Okay, we need to add double that distance to account that we're not centered at 0, 0.